Hey Filth Weavers, so we're back tuning into a message for you all, and so yeah, there's something about connecting with your different ancestral lineages in very specific ways, in nurturing ways, and I think it's probably safe to say that everybody, I don't know, safe, because what I was going to say, it's safe to say that everybody has unhealed and wounded ancestors, but that in itself is not necessarily a safe thing. But like, I think that connecting in ways with the ones who are nourishing and compassionate and connected to the cosmos and earth. I just got these different tree resins from my different ancestral migration pathways, and I'm currently just feeling really held, and so that's part of the reason maybe that I felt inspired to come connect and share with you and offer this vibration to you. And then if you're attracted to this video, I'm curious how you might be connecting with your ancestral lineages in nourishing ways. I'd love to hear about it. If you feel like sharing, or whatever parts of it you feel like sharing, because some I think are private and sacred and don't want to be shared publicly. So yeah, I'm gonna pull some cards for y'all. We're back with the Liberation Tarot deck and Nina Brunjevic's Major Arcana deck. And so, do we want to do another pick a card? Yes. Okay, we're gonna do a pick a card. It's gonna be 3 piles. And what are we wanting clarity around? Okay, it's around how to connect with ancestors in nourishing ways. I'm hearing especially or specifically for people who have ancestors who have inflicted a lot of violence on other people, like physical violence, emotional violence, spiritual violence. So yeah, this will be maybe especially potent for y'all, and as I have a lot of European ancestry, that's kind of my work and where I'm coming from. So if it resonates with you, or even if part of your ancestry is European, this might resonate with you or might be supportive for your work. Okay, so 3 3 piles. How many cards per pile? Two, so that's kind of like a balancing spread. Do we want two cards per pile? Yes, and then we can use the other deck for to complete the triad. Do we want to pre-pull these ones too? No, we'll pull these ones as each pile comes. So, all right. Starting here with pile number 1. The time was at 5:56 when I looked at it. So we have Judgment and the Hermit. The first thing I'm noticing is for Judgment, there's this woman who's like standing with her arms apart and she's kind of mummified, and then there's also this female figure of like the neck, torso, like neck, chest, torso, like pelvis, all the way down to the ankles. And that's like a very similar shape to what is mummified. So this is like, maybe that's the area of your body, this region that's mummified. See how it's similar to this region of the body. I'm sensing that there's the mummified is like, that makes me think of like bandages, like that's where a lot of your trauma might be stored, in that part of your body. And which makes sense when we think of like different forms of patriarchal violence on women's bodies and like sexual violence. And then on the other side where it's blank makes me feel like maybe that's also, there's like stars and the moon surrounding it, so it's like the cosmic bodies. And when healing trauma, it's important to not go, important to not go too far into the body without having some sort of resource or anchor or nourishment or something that's like deeply resourceful to come back to and to be able to like move back and forth so you don't get like sucked and pulled into it and feel like it's too much, because people can get re-traumatized. So feeling like this. Oh, and I didn't realize there was like a bowl underneath here. So that reminds me of Taurus and like a physical, like a fixed earth energy. So yeah, in the hermit image, I'm thinking of like the body kind of representing maybe Mother Earth, within the cosmos. So like connecting with the cosmos, maybe there's certain cosmological or planetary bodies, or like astrological or astronomical bodies, or maybe different star systems that you feel called to connecting with. This Hermit card feels a lot like nourishing and resourcing to support the deep healing within the body. And as I'm sitting here with like my left leg on the ground and my right leg is kind of resting higher on the stool, so it's kind of lifted. So maybe there's something with the right side of your body needing more support. I guess, which makes sense. If you think of like the right side being the masculine side of the body and the left side being the feminine side of the body, and I'm just thinking of my own associations. These aren't definitive associations with symbolism. I think it's matrices, or like repertoires or lexicons of associations are unique to each individual and each language and each individual who within each language. So take what's resonating for you, as symbols can be a way to like interpret the energy that I'm feeling and that I'm tapping into. So now I'm noticing like these stalagmites. There's stalagmites and another one, like the dripping cave formations that up on the top here. Which makes me think of like bones and like the slow accumulation of things that your body might be carrying that needs to be processed. And it when we do go into our emotional feelings, usually our bodies will only process what we have capacity to. And when we're starting to get re-traumatized, that's when we start kind of dissociating. So that can be an indicator that you're moving beyond your capacity. So staying within your capacity to process in each moment. It's not all going to be processed in one day or even 1 year. This kind of work can take a long time, especially as like I'm thinking of larger astrological cycles happening, almost like sculpting our beings. And so in that like spiraling, I feel like there's layers and layers and layers, and it can take like moving through the different contexts and parts of our lives and locations and relationships and even down to like very small cycles within the day to process and like integrate. I'm feeling like this thorough sifting through, this thorough like healing and like the word that's coming to me is like balm, but then it's also like embalming, which is what you do, what people do when some people do if they want to preserve how the body looks for when it's in the casket. When a person dies, which actually can be very toxic to the environment. So like processing these toxins while living in a world that can continue to perpetuate trauma can be very tricky, and transformation can be slow. It can also be fast. It can be slow for a long time, then it can be fast, but I think of it as like built like openings to being connected to our source and in the space of unconditional love, and like growing that more and more and integrating that into our worlds more and more. So what's something that's going to help balance between this process of pain and wounding and healing? And connecting to source, like a cosmological source, but also the earth in our bodies. And our bodies as resources and as healing, but also as sites of wounding. So like if we think of our bodies like our internal, what's not seen but what is felt, as those internal landscapes, but then there's also external landscapes of what we can see. And think of like bridging those two, and how I think that's part of the separation that colonization has inflicted, is like really separating our minds from our bodies. But I don't think they're separate. And I think that healing comes from integrating that knowing. So the cards that came out was Rebel of Spirals, Police Car on Fire in reverse, Chaos in reverse, or no, Chaos upright, and then Nine of Vessels. In the Nine of Vessels, there's these like streams of purple liquid or purple light. I'm thinking of Akasha, and just like that makes me think of just like being connected to this like channel of like Akashic energy, and like being like steeped in that. But there's like 9 streams. So 9 being kind of like the end of a cycle. Maybe this is supporting you in the end of your cycle. And just like charging that Akashic energy, that like dream space substance, charging that with the unconditional love in your heart, and that can transform any space, any landscape, internal or external. Yeah, and this like reverse row of spirals feels like an ending and a transformation, so for me, my heart space is one of my main resources. For you, it might be something else initially, or could be something else continually. But there's something about connecting with this cosmic energy on like a green, like emerald tablecloth. So could be going into nature, connecting with nature. That could be a resource. It could be hermiting and like kind of being in your own creating your own oasis. Yeah. Alright, that's what we have for pile number 1. Thank you. We'll see you in the next pile. Hello, pile number 2. So we have the High Priestess and the Hangman in reverse for you. So these are the energies that you're balancing out as you connect with your ancestral lineages in nourishing ways. It's funny because the Hangman is now upright, and which feels almost like the dead coming back to life or something. Like in this, what I'm drawn to in the High Priestess card is the smoke rising. So some sort of communication between your ancestors. Yeah, so what can support this? I'm noticing like the sun, in this card there's rays shining upward, and then there's also rays shining downward. So like something with the rising and setting sun. Maybe the cycle of the time of year is significant for you in when and how you connect with your nourishing ancestral lineages, or your ancestral lineages in nourishing ways. I'm hearing the word midnight, so maybe it's in between when the sun is rising and when the sun is setting. So maybe midnight is a sacred time for you to connect with them. Perhaps going outside during that time. We have the Student of Vessels and Six of Flowers. So maybe you're learning practices from somebody, or maybe there's a spiritual, and maybe there's an ancestor you're connecting with spiritually who is teaching you and guiding you. And then we have the Six of Flowers in reverse. So there's a message here to share an offering with them. sharing an offering to connect with them. Let's get another card. Maybe you're already doing this. So is there a specific guidance for our filth weavers? Checking the time, and also seeing snow falling outside my window. We have 6 of blades in reverse, 2 of flowers in reverse. So maybe, yeah, I was kind of I was feeling some fear arise moving into this pile number 2. So maybe you feel like you really need to protect yourself when you're connecting. Either like when you go outside, you feel like you need to protect yourself, which is valid, because maybe that's an ancestral, maybe in the past some of your ancestors weren't able to protect themselves, and so maybe you carry that fear with you. The 2 of flowers. Maybe there's in this, I'm feeling like offering food for your ancestors. Maybe that's the offering. Maybe you could learn about, if you don't already know, you could learn about what recipes or what foods that they would make when they were living in really close relationship with the land. Like, what are your ancestral seeds? Like, what were the local crops connected to people's origin stories when they were living in regions for thousands of years? What sorts of foods did they make? If you could find that, or if you could find some sort of ancestral recipe and make that and offer that to your ancestors. And I'm sensing that you are protected. Maybe asking your ancestors to protect you, and noticing if you can receive that and accept that, and noticing where your fear is arising from. It's arising from a certain place in your body, or a certain memory, or a specific fear. Yeah. I know for myself there's specific fears that arise when I'm in nature, and I think that fear can kind of distort my intuition. So finding a place of neutrality, seeing if you can find a place of neutrality. That usually helps me, and it's also something that I'm needing to work through more. So I feel like this message, I feel like maybe I need to receive this message as well, but yeah, if you do find some of your ancestral recipes, I'd love to hear what they are, and like yeah, where your ancestors are from and anything else you might want to share if you engage in this way. So that feels complete for me. I'm feeling this like brightness. Thank you. And we're gonna move on to, before we move on, there's just one more message about, like, this is not all love and light. There is an aspect of like offering the food to the land and letting the land actually like receive it and letting it decompose, and land as ancestors. So offering food to your ancestors as land, as ancestors, like, and allowing that to receive it. And like this feels like a deeper earth-based practice. And I want to mention that like practices like this have been really demonized, and so that might be where part of the fear is as well. Like, what if I get caught? What'll people think of me? And so, yeah, what do you need to feel safe enough to engage in this? What sort of protections do you feel like you need to feel safe enough to engage in this? Yeah. And I think that there's like so much more to like dive into with this. So there will be more, I'm feeling like there will be more messages around these kinds of practices. And it feels general because each person, their practices, I feel like will be so unique to you and your lineages. So I think that's kind of why it feels really general, but I think some of the themes that came out of this are in the collective. So yeah, we're gonna keep, I think there will be more to come. I just yeah, I felt the guides telling me that, like, make sure that they know the shortcomings of this video, which I felt kind of resistant to say, because it's not, like, I don't want to be self-deprecating, but at the same time, like, yeah, this is not exhaustive, and I think that that's important to say, and to also say that, like, I am here weaving this filth with you, and by no means am a master. I feel like there's a lot of work to do, and so pacing ourselves and having compassion with ourselves along the journey feels really important. So, okay, that feels complete. That feels like an offering. So, like, yeah, I feel my hands like this. So, okay, let me know anything you want to share. I'd love to hear. And then we're moving on to pile 3 next. All right, here we are with pile number 3. Okay, we have temperance in reverse and strength in reverse. So in temperance in reverse, it's interesting with these piles, I'm feeling a lot of the reversals are like indicating that they're active in the underworld or some sort of exchange with the underworld. With the temperance card, there's like perhaps some emotions pouring into you. Maybe there's an emotional capacity pouring into you. And with the strength, I'm sensing that there's like strength in the underworld, like your ancestors or the ancestors who are who have nourishment for you. There's like a strength in the underworld, almost like they're holding you up. Perhaps as you balance these emotions. So what else is going to help? There's like maybe you're feeling exposed sexually. Maybe you're worried your ancestors are watching you have sex. I've seen a meme about that before, which is why I'm laughing. But like maybe you're concerned, just about being exposed. Like, what will they think of you if they see you? If you connect to the underworld, if you connect with, and in that there's like this feeling of shame is coming through, and not wanting to be exposed, not wanting to be seen. So messages for filth weavers for balancing and being able to receive this kind of nourishment. We have 10 of vessels in reverse right on top of temperance. So, and a bunch of cards falling. 2 of vessels and death. Maybe you're processing the death of a recent loved one, and that's creating this opening for you to connect deeper with your ancestors. And it might feel really overwhelming, but this 10 of vessels has this energy of like almost like the Mad Hatter Tea Party, like rainbows and trippy teas. So maybe that's like, maybe you've had a trippy experience before and spirituality feels kind of trippy to you. I mean, that's definitely one way that I've experienced it. Maybe I was just telling somebody about how chamomile tea can help process grief. And so if you're processing grief, maybe drinking some chamomile tea. I'm seeing the snow kind of blow off some branches, so maybe maybe that's symbolic for you in some way. The wind's kind of feeling cold, feeling chilled by the winds, feeling like you're alone, or like you're just there's like a coldness, and maybe your inner fire has gone out. Maybe your Agni, your digestive fire, has gone out. Maybe you need to relight it. Support for filth weavers and connecting to the nourishment that their ancestral lineages might have. Okay, I just heard "we don't have anything for you" right as the student of blades in reverse jumped out. So maybe some of you, it's like this isn't your reading. Maybe you need to pick a different pile, or maybe none of the piles are for you. I'm seeing somebody like ready in this card, ready to like jump outside this window, jump into the void and jump into darkness. And so yeah. Woo. Okay, we have the artist, 9 of flowers in reverse. Maybe it's a matter, oh, and then the chrysalis. Maybe it's a matter of time. And like, yeah, accepting that processing grief is a matter, like, initially it could take some time. And maybe it's like being in this really like uncomfortable space where like everything, if seemingly everything is like crumbled, your foundation, everything you thought you had been working for is just like shook. And your identity, your ego, who you thought you were, maybe that's all shook. And it's like it's like you're diving it down into like the bottom of the swamp. And that's like can be a metaphor with just like witnessing some of the grotesque things of this world, of whatever world you're in, witnessing those grotesque things and like witnessing the discomfort, the pain, and it's almost like reaching deep into your soul to be able to like have a palette for creation, and having like having a sense of like tapping a deep, like a pulse, tapping this maybe filth weaver collective pulse, or pulse on whatever world you're in, to know like what if art and creativity is a medicine, like how can you use that medicine to be brought forth right now. And so it's like your journey into the underworld, into the shadows, is bringing medicine, but it's like you're not quite, you might not be there yet, you might not be emerging from the swamp yet, you might still be down there, like wondering like when am I gonna hear something, when am I gonna see a sign. But there will be an opening. There will be an opening. Death in reversed. So yeah, this new beginning is coming. I mean, spring is almost coming, so at least in the northern hemisphere, so maybe you're feeling like that seed that's like about to burst open. Yeah. There's bounty. There's bounty on the horizon. There's abundance on the horizon. It's like underground right now though, so. Yeah, anything else for this pile? You might feel like there's a message or something being withheld from you. And maybe that's part of what's underground right now. You might not be able to articulate it, but you can still feel into the darkness and feel into the earth and allow what you sense in the unknown. Allow it to move through and out of you by creating space to be with it. So there's something else coming through for you. I'm seeing like and feeling like gunshots in the air, like there's somebody has like a machine gun and they're just like shooting the air. So maybe you've been battling with your thoughts. Maybe you've been battling with your own mind. And maybe this like struggle to let your old self die, the old part of you die, so that the new part of you can be so. Yeah, I'm just seeing this person like resting on in a pond. It's like accepting who you were before, not needing to try to change anything or make up for it, but just allowing the old part of yourself die. Martine Perktel talks about how there's like big deaths and little deaths, and the big death would be like actually dying, a person dying. A little death could be like going through initiatory experiences and coming out of them a different person and having to let go of the old self, and how a lot of those types of ceremonies have been lost. A lot of like coming of age, or even like processes of becoming an elder, different ceremonies like that being witnessed in your transition, crossing a threshold, are not widely practiced currently. And so like that could show up as depression if we're not being guided through that. And so that's one of the reasons why connecting with nourishing ancestral practices could possibly support and guide you and me and us in our existence, our process in life and transformation, and our growth and healing. So, is there anything else for pile 3? Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you all. Please let me know if you resonated with any of this or dissonated with any of this, and specifically if there's any like openings, endings and openings, transitions that you might be moving through. You can share about that if you like. Okay, thank you. See you next time.